You are not going for online experience. You prefer the offline experience.
সকালে একটা অনলাইন কোর্স
করেছেন?
বোর্ড স্যার দেখা যাবে কিভাবে
কাটটা করেছেন আজকে তো
আসলে প্রথম ক্লাস
we are still at the trial stage, you understand?
720p দিলেও মানে দেখা যাবে
Technical person কি হবে রোমিও, what is the solution?
Solution is bring the camera closer to the board. না স্যার এটা যদি একটু ডার্কার বা একটু বোল্ডার একটা ইয়া দেওয়া যায় বোল্ডার পেন দিয়ে
হ্যাঁ যদি লেস
মানে দেখা যায় কি
রোমিও সরি I know there is no viewer. হ্যাঁ এটা কি আরেকটু সামনে আগামী দেয় ইয়াটাকে ক্যামেরাটাকে
মানে in what sense, closer to you or the board?
closer to the board.
মানে we can take it একদম ফুল ফ্লেশ বোর্ডটা দেখা যাচ্ছে তখন আপনাকে দেখা যাবে that's the problem. In order to have both the board and
এটাকে এখানে দাও তারপর
দিলাম স্যার
that's right here. Yeah, like this.
স্যার তা সেম জায়গাতেই চলে আসলো আমরা আগে যেখানে ছিলাম
Is it a better position? So can you see there? আপনি 15-16 ব্যাচের তাই না নেক্সট ইয়ার কি নাম জানো তাইসিফ কক্সবাজারের নিজের নাম ইউজ করতে হবে তাইসিফ কক্সবাজার দিলে হবে না ফেসবুকে ঠিক আছে you use your full name
স্যার বোর্ড দেখা যায় কিন্তু বোর্ডে কিছু লিখলে তখন স্যার এটা বলছে মিলা
আমরা কি করা জানা সেল কি করাছিলাম আপনাদেরকে আমি
স্যার সিএলআর লেখা
হিউম্যান রাইটস করাছিলাম আপনাদেরকে আর্টিকেল চেঞ্জ করানোর কথা না হ্যাঁ
জি স্যার অনেক মানে স্লোতে মানে আগে দিয়ে দেখা
সেটা
অনেকক্ষণ আগে আমি যেখানে গেলাম সেটাও আসেনি সেটা আবার কি না
একটা কোণা দাও
এই যে লেখাটা বোঝা যায়
বাস এইটা কে Is it better? Not really.
আপনি লেখাটা একটু বড় করলে সেটা তখন আপনি ডিফারেন্স
Can you see it now? লেখাটা
লেখাটা দেখা যায় কিন্তু বোঝা যায় না ক্লিয়ারলি বোঝা যায় তো বড় ক্লাস
লেখা আছে যে রাইট টু ফেয়ার ট্রায়াল কষ্ট করে দিতে হবে
তারপর
আর কিছু
bring it here closer. Does it look better?
this has to be better
আর তো কাছে নিয়ে আসে দেখেন
এটার কাছে স্ট্যান্ডার্ড এর থেকে বেটার হওয়া সম্ভব আছে
দেখাতে পারেন?
It cannot get any better than this. We like to.
This should be better.
This has to be better.
আপনি কি একটা ল্যাপটপ নিয়ে আরেক থেকে লগ ইন করে দেখুন please?
This is better. Far better. Now it's
দাঁড়ান, একটা second দেখি। Better?
This is quite similar. Quite similar. No, 30 seconds.
আমরা ডিফারেন্স দিলে
মানে
ভিডিওতে এসএমএস ইন্টারভিউ আপলোড করতে দেখতে আবার আমরা ইউজ করতে পারবো।
If you do it from your home, then nobody is sharing it.
that is it.
This is better, right?
This is take a lot of we need.
Fine. I got it. When you
আগে গেলে আসলে দেখেন এই যে কাজ করছে
after class members. Right. Welcome to this online class, everyone. Now, today we are discussing right to a fair trial under Article 6 of ECHR. Article 6 is regarded. Can I take you to take some notes as well? Article 6 is regarded as the most important of all the articles under ECHR. Okay. Now, this article has got two aspects. If you're thinking about ensuring the right to a fair trial, I would say in order to ensure the right to a fair trial in any state, the state will have to make sure that two things are done properly. First, they have to introduce proper infrastructure for the judiciary, and secondly, they have to ensure that the procedures, all the correct procedures are in place. Okay, so you can write that two things must be ensured. Again, two things must be ensured. First one is infrastructure, and the second one is the to put all the procedures in place. Now, what do we mean by infrastructure? Why I am talking about infrastructure when I am talking about the right to a fair trial? Okay. First point is, if the state wants to ensure that its citizens should get a fair trial, they will have to create a judiciary which is independent, which is impartial. So you need to put mechanisms in place for that. Number one, we are talking about the appointments process. We are talking about ensuring other mechanisms. Second thing is how and where the courts are placed. We need to make sure that the courts are placed in a public place, that courts have the facilities to pronounce its judgments in public. The courts have sufficient resources for that, and most importantly, the courts that we are talking about, they must be created by application of regular law, not by any special law. Okay, these are very important things we need to ensure in terms of infrastructure. And lastly, the state must ensure the infrastructure in such a manner so that it can give the people what we call access to justice. Okay, that means the buildings, court buildings, they must facilitate, they must be made to facilitate every citizen in the country. Okay, irrespective of their physical ability. For example, if we have a litigant who's visually impaired and we do not have facilities for that person to understand the judicial process, okay, that means that country does not have the access to justice for this particular individual. If someone is physically not able to climb stairs and the courthouse is at the third floor or fourth floor and there is no lift facilities, there is no easier access to wheelchairs, can this person really have access to the judicial process? The answer is no, they don't. Okay, so in developing the infrastructure is part of that fair trial procedure, where the state must provide these facilities, these primary facilities for the people. Okay, can you write down, please? Under the Article 6, the citizens must have the right to a fair trial by a judiciary which is independent and impartial. Full stop. Now, how do we ensure this? What is the process of ensuring judicial independence? The judiciary must be independent and impartial. How do we ensure that? Let's talk about just the independence. Any idea?
Separation of powers.
Separation of powers. What do you need to do? Let's. Sorry, can you repeat? No. I'm not asking that. I'm saying that how a state can ensure that the judiciary is independent. What would be the first step that the state should take in terms of ensuring judicial independence? How can someone, let me ask you the question from what you say. You are saying that to ensure that no one can influence the judiciary. Okay. Tell me, how can someone influence the judiciary? Or who can influence the judiciary? Very good. We have to look at these first. How the judges are being appointed. Terribly important issue. Who is appointing them? Who should appoint them? The Crown? The Prime Minister? Should the Lord Chancellor or the Justices Minister should have the ability or have the controlling stick to ensure to appoint the judges? What's wrong with that? So if before the Constitutional Reform Act 2005, the judges used to be appointed by the Lord Chancellor's Department. What was wrong with that? Why you think that those judges, if the judges are being appointed by the Lord Chancellor's Department, there is a possibility that, well, I'm not talking about partiality yet. I'm still interested in independence. You have to understand that independence and impartiality are two different things. Okay, someone can be independent, but that person can be partial. Okay, so I'm not going into this territory yet. I'm more interested in this territory now. Okay, why do you think that a judge may not be independent if he is appointed by the Lord Chancellor's Department, or if he was directly appointed by maybe with the backing of the Prime Minister or the Crown? Why do you think that way? So there is a link, that is, if I am being appointed by you, then I have some sort of reliance on you, isn't it? I've got some sort of there is a point of like sense of allegiance towards that person, isn't it? Okay, the judiciary would then feel that someone is holding the string, isn't it? You understand how can you hold the string? Have you seen puppet dances? What happens? Someone else is holding the string and the puppet is dancing. We call it string pulling, isn't it? So if the judges are being appointed by the executive, then it would look like someone is pulling the string from the behind, isn't it? So that's the reason why judicial appointment is such an important issue. So should the judges be appointed by the executive? Should the judges be appointed by the legislature? Or there should be an independent impartial body for that? There must be an independent and impartial body to appoint for the selection and appointment of the judges. And that is the mechanism which can ensure that the judges are independent. And how do you ensure impartiality? How can someone be impartial? By not being anything else? What would make let's rephrase this question. What would make me partial as a judge? And that's more related to independence. What would make me a partial person if I sit as a judge? If there is a case against someone I know, why I'm going to be partial?
You might be biased by.
Why I would be biased even if I know someone? Say I know George Clooney. I have watched his film, and can I be a judge in a case where he is one of the parties?
Do you like? What it doesn't matter. Whether you like him or hate him, you still be biased. You have a
It has to be seen that personal interest also play that.
So you want to? That's a good point. We are talking about something called conflict of interest. And how do you establish that what is conflict of interest? What are the elements by which we can ensure that this person has got conflict of interest or not?
Financial interest.
Financial interest. Anything else? Good. That's a good point. Financial interest. Any other issue? Okay. Let's go through an example. Say this is a piece of land which is a disputed land, and I'm one of the parties. I'm claiming that this land belongs to me. You are claiming that no, this land belongs to you. Okay. Can I be the judge?
No.
Why not?
You change your own thing.
Because I have a clear conflict of interest here, isn't it? Okay, I have a clear conflict of interest here. I cannot be the judge. If I become the judge, I will be partial, isn't it? What if my wife is the one of the parties? So can I be the judge? Do I still have a conflict of interest?
Yes.
Okay. What if my daughters are one of the parties? My siblings, my friends, my next door neighbor whom I don't like. What if a long lost friend who turned up at my court 20 years later? I've never seen him in last 20 years. Am I still partial or am I still impartial? Am I impartial? What if one of the parties is my favorite actor or actress? Say Katrina Kaif. Can I be the judge there?
There is a high possibility, but no one can prove it.
It should be beyond doubt. Your independence and impartial.
What if a student of mine is one of the parties? Say you are one of the parties. Can I be the judge?
Depends. Say depends. How you feel about this case.
What about you? If you are one of the parties, should I be the judge?
No, it is
Yes.
You would really want me to be there, isn't it? Now, the point is we have to be very careful about judicial impartiality. Okay, the point must be remembered that there should not be any doubt about what? About the impartiality of the judge. That's important. What type of doubt? Can you have 1% doubt?
No.
Not even that? 0.5% doubt? Yes, I agree. The standard of ensuring impartiality is very high. I must say that the judge must take highest caution when he is sitting there as a judge. He should not have any conflict of interest. Okay, we must know that there can be two types of biasness. One is actual bias and one is apparent bias. Now, all those examples I gave you, most of them are examples of actual bias. Okay, I have a direct conflict in it. Okay, but if I am someone, say I'm a big fan of a political leader, 20 15 years back, I wrote many articles in newspaper about that political figure. Okay, and there is a case in my court where that political leader is one of the parties. Am I partial or am I impartial? Is that a question of then actual bias or is that a question of then apparent bias? It is a question of apparent bias. Even if you are not actually biased, even if you are apparently biased, still you are biased. Not allowed. Not allowed at all. Okay?
There is a racial discrimination
Mm-hmm.
by the judge.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a clear case of actual bias.
Actual bias.
Yes.
It's not.
Yeah. No. It's not an apparent thing. If there is a clear evidence that there was prejudice in the judge's attitude was prejudicial because of maybe racial reasons, maybe religious reasons, or on the basis of nationality, then that's more like an actual one. But when we are talking about apparent bias, it's the example of apparent bias can be the case of ex parte Pinochet. Have you come across this case, ex parte Pinochet?
Yes.
What's the fact? You recall? Where did you get this? Ex parte Pinochet?
Judicial review.
Judicial review? What happened there? Tell me. Tell me which part of judicial review it was important for you?
Natural justice.
Why? What happened? You just got the name.
I forgot the facts.
You forgot the fact. Do you know who's Pinochet? Augusto Pinochet? Who's Pinochet? Sorry? No? Ex parte Pinochet? Yes, Pinochet Ugarte, yeah. Who's he? Any idea? Anybody? Sorry? Well, Augusto Pinochet was the president of Chile. Do you know where is Chile? Which continent? South America. Why they are famous for? They play very good football. Okay. They lost to Brazil 3-2 this time, wasn't it? They played very well, I must say. Okay. Now Sanchez, you remember? He is from Chile. Okay. Now Augusto Pinochet was the president of Chile. He was actually a military dictator. He, with the backing from USA, he came to power back in the 1970s after he did not kill, but there was this very popular socialist president of Chile was Dr. Salvador Allende. Okay, Allende was not liked by USA because he was more pro-Russian at that time. So his government was toppled by the military coup, and Mr. Pinochet came to power. He was the dictator who remained in power for a long time, more than 20 years. And he was accused of committing genocide against Chilean people. And many of those people were actually the citizens of Spain. Chile and Spain, it was former Spanish colony as well, long back. So the Spanish government wanted to try Mr. Pinochet. But Mr. Pinochet, after he gave up the power, what he did, he became a lifetime member of Chilean Senate. So he always had what we call the diplomatic immunity. Remember diplomatic immunity? We talked about it when we were doing rule of law, when we were talking about equality before the law. So Mr. Pinochet, he had the diplomatic immunity for which he could not be tried in any country. Now, he was very old. He went to London for his treatment. And there was a case where people wanted Mr. Pinochet to be sent to Spain. Have you come across this word extradition? Do you know what is extradition? Extradition means sending a suspected criminal from one country to another country for trial. So if I am wanted by USA and I live in Bangladesh, the Bangladesh government under a treaty with the US government can arrest me and can send me to USA for trial. And that is what we call the extradition. So this case, ex parte Pinochet, the case was whether Mr. Pinochet should be extradited to Spain. Okay. Now the case went to House of Lords, and the House of Lords, with a majority of 2-1, decided that Mr. Pinochet should be extradited to Spain. Okay. And in that case, when the case was heard by the House of Lords, when the case was decided by the House of Lords, one of the judges was Lord Hoffman, who gave the leading judgment in favor of his extradition. Now, after the judgment was given, Pinochet's lawyers raised this question that Lord Hoffman should not have been there as the judge. Why? They raised the question of bias against him. Okay, now think about it. Who was Hoffman? Hoffman was the judge. What he was doing? What did he do? He was trying Pinochet to be extradited to Spain. And he gave the judgment that yes, he should be sent to Spain. Now, question is, what was the point of his biasness? What actually happened? Lord Hoffman and his wife, although unpaid, but they were linked with Amnesty International. Do you know what is Amnesty International? Amnesty International is the international body which works for human rights protection in various countries. It's like an international human rights watchdog, okay, which actually monitors the situation in every country, whether the governments violate the human rights of their citizens. Now, as the member of, or as someone connected with Amnesty International, can Lord Hoffman sit as a judge in the trial of Augusto Pinochet, against whom Amnesty International had been working for a long time? What do you think? You see, was it a question of actual bias, or was it a question of apparent bias? It was a question of apparent bias. The decision was overturned. Lord Hoffman was reprimanded because he's a brilliant judge, no doubt, that he should not have sat there. Why? Because it raises, doubt about his impartiality. Now, let's get back to right to a fair trial. Can we have a fair trial if the judiciary is not independent? The answer is no. Can we get fair trial if the judiciary is biased? The answer is no. Am I clear? Okay. Okay. Take note. The state must ensure that the judges are being appointed by an independent and impartial body. which is not controlled or influenced by the executive. First off, appointment of judges. Ensures that judiciary remains independent of any political influence. And they are only appointed by the independent body on the basis of their professional excellence. Full stop. Moreover, the judges must ensure that there is no conflict of interest between their duties and their economic or any other direct or indirect interest. Full stop. As citizens can seek remedy against human rights violation by public bodies, from the judiciary only, it is important that judges remain independent and impartial to ensure appropriate level of protection and remedies for the people. Level of protection and remedies for the people. Are we clear so far? Okay. Now, what kind of codes do you need? Do you need the codes to be hidden, or do you need the codes to be present in public place? They must be tried in public. Okay. The judgment must be pronounced in public. Can we have a secret court?
But sometimes you need a secret code.
What kind of trials can be done by secret court? Maybe a trial related to national security issues. Okay, that can be done in a secret court. Okay, so that's an important one. Now let's look at the second aspect of right to a fair trial. The first aspect, as we talked about, the infrastructure. The second aspect is more of the procedural aspect. That means the appropriate process must be followed. Okay, let's talk about a criminal trial. What is the first step in criminal procedure? Where does it start? The criminal process. A report to the police station. Am I right? And then what will happen? What the police will do? What the police will do? The police may arrest the person, the accused. And what do you need to do at the time of the arrest?
There must be a warrant from the magistrate.
Say you are the police officer, you caught me when I was shoplifting. Now you are going to arrest me, are you? So if you want to arrest me, what do you need to do? You have to first tell me that I have been arrested. Then why you have arrested me? The ground. What will happen if it is not followed? It straightway violates my right to have a fair trial. Okay, if you want to ensure that people are getting fair trial, you have to let people know what are the accusation against that person. What if I do not understand English? You need to find me an interpreter, otherwise there's no point. So language plays a very important role, especially in a very diversified society. In a multicultural, diversified society, language plays a very important role in terms of ensuring right to a fair trial. Okay, the individual must have the following minimum rights. In a criminal justice process. Number one, everyone charged with a criminal offense shall be presumed to be innocent until proven guilty according to law. Why it is so important until proven guilty according to law? Why did they say according to law?
Somebody can be taken in without
Sorry?
somebody can be taken in jail without permission of the law. Like
Okay.
nowadays it's for example.
So it means you cannot call someone guilty just because someone thought he is guilty. Okay, the point of guilt, that whether someone has done it, this must be proved in accordance with the legal provisions, you know, in a country. Okay. Number 2, if someone is arrested, then he must be informed that he has been arrested by the police, and he must know the nature of accusation against him. Full stop. It must be noted that such information must be given in a language which he understands. Number 3, the individual must have adequate time and facilities for the preparation of his defense. Number 4, he must be given the opportunity to defend himself in person or through a counsel of his choice. Full stop. If he does not have the financial ability, no, to hire a lawyer, then the state must provide him one. Do you know what is this called when the state is providing you the lawyer? What do you call it? Any idea? Sorry? Yes, this is called legal aid. Okay. You see, legal aid is a form of access to justice. Think about it. If I do not have the financial ability and I can't have a lawyer, then can I have easier access to justice? Can I have a can I have a fair trial? The answer is no. Okay, so legal aid is one way of ensuring access to justice. So legal aid is one component of right to a fair trial.
The right to silence.
Well, right to silence has got different implication. You know, the court may draw a conclusion against adverse conclusion against you if you remain silent at the time of the trial. Okay, that's one option you will get to know when you are doing general defense. Now, how many points? Point number 5. The accused must get the opportunity to examine witnesses for and against him. Number 6, the accused must have free assistance from an interpreter if he cannot speak or understand the language used in the court. How many points? Do you see the characteristics of these 6 points? Something has been mentioned twice. What is that? Colin?
Free assistance.
Yes, language. It's a point of language. You see, so language can be such an important factor in terms of ensuring right to a fair trial, especially if it is a very multicultural and diversified society. If you are arrested by Greek police in Greece, and obviously you do not, none of us, I don't think anybody in this room know or understand the Greek language. Okay, if you are being arrested by the police and they give you all sorts of warnings and everything, talk about all sorts of rights and everything in Greek language, does that really satisfy the reason behind right to a fair trial? The answer is no. You won't know what is the nature of accusation against you. The language can be very important. Are we clear? Okay. Now, you see, if you are thinking about it, this particular article, this is the, I call it, is the most important article of all the articles in ECHR. In fact, the European Court of Human Rights, in a case, said that Article 6 is one single article on which the entire European Convention is based. Think about it. Against whom do we seek remedy? For human rights? For violation of human rights?
State.
State? What's the right term? Who, against whom do we seek remedy? What is the language used in section 6? Public body, public authority. So we are seeking our remedies against the action of the public bodies, isn't it? Now, mainly the executive. right? Think about it. If the judiciary is biased, if the judiciary is under the control of the executive, then is there any point for us to go to the judiciary to seek remedy against the violation of our rights by the executive? The answer is no. It would be a clear conflict of interest, right? So even if we have lots of rights written in a document, we cannot enforce or we cannot seek remedy for violation of those rights because the organ which would give us the remedy is under the control of the violators. So if the executive violates our rights and the executive controls the judiciary, there's no point of me going to the judiciary saying, can you do something against the executive? The answer is no. So the first thing first, we need to ensure if we want to have the rights to be enforced, what do we have to have? We have to have a judiciary which is totally independent and impartial and from any kind of control from the executive, so that we can go and seek our remedies from there. Are we clear? And that's the reason why the European Court of Human Rights said this is one single article on which the entire European Court of European Convention on Human Rights is based. If we don't have Article 6, we don't have really other rights. Are we clear? Okay. Now, come to let's think about Article 6 rights. Under ECHR, there are thousands of cases, appeals filed for the violation of various rights under ECHR. Among all the articles, the highest number of cases originates from Article 6, and the extent of its application is very wide. Okay, do you remember one Bangladeshi girl has been killed by the border security forces in India? There's a killing. This is called Falani murder. Remember, the girl was shot dead by the border security forces in India, and she was hanged. Remember that picture? Now, those BSF soldiers were tried in India by a court which was formed by BSF, and the judges, the arbiters sitting there were the members of the BSF. They were nominated by them. What is wrong here? Why are you laughing? This is a clear point of bias. What did she or did the victim's family get a fair trial here? The answer is no. Even if, think about it, even if those judges, even if that court is impartial, but anyone like you, anyone like me would still think that this was biased. Which means, were they actually biased or were they apparently biased? They were actually apparently biased in that sense. You know, we will come across this. You know, very soon we will start looking at the judiciary in public law, and in judiciary in public law we'll come back to the issues of biasness, and we'll see a case called R versus Goff. In R versus Goff, there is this test, what we call the real danger test. Okay, that is there a real danger that the judge may be biased? If the answer is yes, then he is biased, even if he is not. That's the real danger test. Yes. Okay. This is what we call the real danger test. Now, those particular judges from BSF, whom they were trying one of their own. They are one of their kind. Can they be really impartial? The answer is no. This is what happened in Turkey as well. There's a case from Turkey where someone was arrested and tried by a military tribunal. Who arrested him? It is the Turkish army. Who brought accusation against him? It is the Turkish army. And who tried him? It's a military tribunal of Turkish army. Does it fulfill the requirement under Article 6? The answer is no. It's not. Okay. So anywhere throughout the trial, you see that there is maybe a violation of a procedure. Say at some point a procedure was not properly followed. What you can go for? You can go for Article 6. You can find some sort of link between the judge, between the jury and the defendant or victim. What you can go for? You can go for Article 6. You see that somehow the court was not properly constituted. What you can go for? You can go for Article 6. Somehow the judgment was not given properly. It was not given in public. There was a camera trial. Maybe there was a hidden trial, a secret court. What you can go for? You can go for Article 6. Are we clear? Okay. I'll post some PowerPoint slides in your group. Please have a look at this. Okay. Our next class we will start talking about the criminal process, and we'll start looking into trial by jury. Am I clear? Okay. Thank you.